Hello everyone and welcome to Phoenix Gaming. I'm your host Nick Henning and today we are running the Terraforming Mars 2025. I had to look at the calendar to check the date. 2025 Ring Final. So 4 experts at this table that are ready to play this game. I'm ready to run through it. If you want to, you can check out this game on the WSBG channel where Levi, who is a 3-time Terraforming Mars champion, commentates this game. He maybe has better insights than I do, but we're running this puppy at 50% speed so that rather than 2 hours, we can get done in about an hour and a half, which will give me just enough time to go and do some playtesting. Without any further ado, let's get started. From what I understand, we're going to be able to see a lot of Jacopo's hand throughout the course of this game for the drafting parts, which is going to be really exciting. That adds a lot of level to Terraforming Mars. I actually was considering not doing it this year, but I think having that drafting component really makes a huge difference. And so I'm excited to actually get back into it. We see right off the bat that Jacopo here has Inventrix, Terractor, and Valley Trust, which are some solid choices. Nothing absolutely thrilling here. I like Valley Trust just as like a flex. I don't really know what I'm going for, or maybe you've got some science stuff along the way. It can do a lot of fun things. Oh, it looks like when I'm here, I block people. So we're gonna be mobile as we switch cameras, I think. And yeah, right there we see a little bit of science in the starting draft here. Decomposers is like a pet card of mine. I really like structuring a game plan around decomposers, and so I'm inclined to take that, and so is Jacopo here. There's just a possibility of drafting into like a really good kind of like animals and plants setup that does a lot of flexible things. Tractor is just a bunch of cash, and so it's not like we're locked in by anything here. Asteroid Mining Consortium here is a really nasty card. $13. You need some titanium production. We can't quite see it with the hand here, but that's the one that steals a titanium production from someone else. Just a huge blowout for someone. And there's asteroid mining here, which means that someone is probably going to take that card and it has some titanium production, which you can steal from them, which I think is probably why Stanley avoided this. And Jacopo says, I also want to avoid this mess. There's too much going on there. Rather, I'm going to take asteroid and then says, actually, I want trees because it fits with the decomposers game plan. He then quickly snap picks. I didn't even see it because I think it was not that important. It was a $1 event, so probably one that he's not even keeping. So we had an absolute bomb hand pass through here a moment ago. And now we're looking at maybe a land claim. I think that he probably ended up taking the giant space mirror there just as a way to have some energy prod and also cut the titanium stuff from other people. It looks like we flashed there an Aquifer Pumping as the last card. So Jacopo's off not to the most exciting start here in terms of cards. We see another Jovian tag here, but it is going the other way, so maybe we're not too scared about passing it. But Convoy from Europa might be getting a nod. It's an okay card that draws more cards. Looks like instead we're grabbing a $1 event. Maybe Jacopo's got some plan here that I'm not quite sure about. We can pay off those events. We got Predators here, and then lots of different ways to turn plants into stuff. Looks like we're going to need a lot of lakes to make those happen. So I think this is like nitrophilic moss and something else like that. We know that Jacopo's got the decomposers, but yeah, I'm not thrilled so far with this draft for him. There's actually some consideration, I think, at this stage to even be considering playing Inventrix just for the random 3 cards off the top of the deck, because we don't have a huge game plan structured here already. And we see Jacopo is really mulling over this decision. Those 4 and 8 cost cards, they might not get played for a long time. Predators is scary when you want to be playing animals. You don't really want anyone else to have it, but at the same time, you're not sure what someone else does. He goes for the long-term plan, taking the media archives there, which is a card that you pay $3 for now, and it really builds up over the course of the game. Looks like one of those $1 events is a sabotage, which you might have taken because I hit him with a sabotage foolishly a couple of years ago. Looks like he really quickly snaps off a greenhouses there. That's the one that gives you plants for cities. That's a nice get for a 3rd pick. I have to assume that other people in front got some nice things. And I didn't quite see what that 9th card was, but I saw that he passed an air braked ammonia, which makes sense as it's a pretty not exciting card coming along that way. And we see the punishing if you have a lot of electricity tags, you can steal electricity from other people. It's probably a little bit too late to do that at this stage. Oh, it's a small animals that he got. That's actually a really nice get for a ninth pick here. Really, you could argue that it's a fourth pick since we're doing 5 cards left and 5 cards right. So a little bit of composition with our decomposers put together, and so I think that that's likely what we're leaning into here. Jacopo, he doesn't have a lot of production going on, so as he's looking at these starting cards, he's going to be saying, how can I get some systemic stuff going on? I'm a big fan of Polar Industries. I like dropping that lake. The extra heat usually turns into a couple points. I know that folks that are a little bit better at this game than I am like the WASA, the space agency that lets you get a bunch of titanium and draw some random titanium cards. Jacopo doesn't really have a lot going on with titanium. He could certainly build that giant electric thing, but he doesn't have a need for that energy early on. It's okay, but not thrilling. He's really at the mercy of the deck if he does draft that card. He also might be taking it knowing that he's passing asteroid mining. We see Stanley over there on the right being pretty unhappy with what he's taking. So let's see what cards we get from him. I think that'll be really interesting to see. And yeah, I think at this stage, Terractor is probably off the list for Jacopo. I think I'd be inclined towards YOLOing with the Valley Trust a little bit and seeing if we get something exciting, or Inventrix to see if we can draw some cards off the top of the deck. Because it's not like he has a bunch of money that he needs to spend at the beginning for Energy System. Metals Company here certainly gives some production, but we don't really have a hand that demands the kind of production that Metals Company gives, and we passed asteroid mining, so it's sort of a nightmare to actually take this card. I don't think that we can play this knowing that asteroid mining is in play, so I really disagree with this one pick. It's just an absolutely huge blowout if someone almost certainly took that asteroid mining and hits us with Metals Company. So I think that's probably an oversight there after a long day of playing. Research Network here draws a bunch of random cards, and so it's a nice way to kind of like set up a game plan. It's got random tags, which will allow Jacopo to do some funky stuff. For instance, like he needs to, actually, I guess he doesn't need any other tags to support if he were to get like advanced ecosystems or something like that. He grabs Decompose. He likes a land claim. More than I do, clearly. I'm not a huge fan. He likes 7 of these cards, so we're going that full Decomposer's plan. He's taking, it looks like, WASA and Metals Company, which again, I'm afraid that he's going to get hit with an asteroid mining and feel really foolish in just about a moment. But we'll see. I would love to be proven wrong about that. And what are we snapping off for? It looks like Valley Trust gets pushed to the front. Yep. So Valley Trust, we are indeed in YOLO space here. Trying to figure out what exactly we want to do. I don't think my head's going to block the board at this stage here, so I'll stay here so we can see Charlie's board here on the side. I'll occasionally do a little shoulder lean so we can get there, but I think this is better to block this than to block where his cards are probably going to go. And my guess is that over here is where Stanley's going to put his cards. So we'll see how that goes. I'm actually not quite sure who's first player. Can I see the first player marker somewhere? Looks like it's Stanley. He starts with Credit Corps, which is definitely the best corporation in the game. We have, followed by that, Valley Trust, Robinson, and Ching Ching. Just from corporations, my money's on Stanley. It's just so much more powerful than everything else. A really good discounting power, a huge amount of starting cash. That just gives a lot of oomph. I think Robinson Industries is pretty weak. I'm not a big fan of Robinson Industries. Oh, except for we're playing on Elysium. I am realizing we're not playing on Tharsis. That makes a huge difference. So let's update immediately and say that Jacopo's Decomposer's plan is even more exciting. That makes that plan even more obvious, I think, on this map. And Robinson is better on this map because of the generalists. So that's a claim that we're rushing towards that. And I think that's probably why Jacopo maybe grabbed Metals Company as also a plan to sort of rush towards that generalist milestone. I still think he has a chance of being severely punished here, though. So we're going to see how that works out for him. Chengsheng is probably the least exciting option now that I realize that we are playing on Elysium here. And so I have to assume that Charlie's got a hand that's going to allow him to kind of build a huge systemic support structure here. And looks like we got a 7-card keep over there. Didn't quite see how many others kept. We know Jacopo kept 7. Let's see, we're down to 39 over there. So 6 cards for Stanley, and looks like we're down to 23. So looks like everybody kept more than half their hand. So generally pretty happy with what we have going on with the draft here. And Stanley's going to lead off with a city and some plant production, making sure that he gets to grab those 3 cards, the benefit of going first here, and just ripping into some random nonsense. Okay, so Jacopo is not taking Metals Company. He's taking the other cards that we didn't see. He's taking Biofuels and Research Network, which makes a ton more sense. He was pulling those cards up and putting them aside. I really like that. Now he's got kind of a diversity of resources. You know, it's unlikely that he's going to get, I think, the generalist type of thing. But by avoiding Metals Company, I think that just works out great. So I think this is the right call here. In seat 3 here, we are grabbing. Interesting. We're grabbing a city in play and some production, and we're also kicking off with a starting Predators. That is absolutely hilarious, but doesn't do anything. I think that's an absolutely huge mistake. I'm really, really surprised to see that in the finals. This card basically says, I'll score no points this game, and no one's going to play any animals. But on the other hand, he's got the 3 tags, and so he's essentially rushing for that milestone. So maybe he's just essentially saying, look, I don't care about production. I really just want the victory points. And, I'm walking back my opinion a little bit here, but we're going to see how this ultimately goes. Charlie's got the only true infrastructural start here with an Allied Banks and an aquifer turbine thing going on to get some various kinds of production, some starting cash, actually just offset cash, I guess, with the turbine's penalty, and dropping a lake in play for a couple of plants. Ooh, Earth Catapult off the top. $4 rebate, and essentially 2 off everything. Now that we're playing credit cards, $6 off everything that costs 20 or more. You see Jacopo with kind of a little bit of a stunned look there, as certainly his opening here has become quite miserable. Stanley coming off with an Arctic Algae, an incredibly powerful card to play at the beginning of the game. 1 lake is down already. I'll call them lakes, not oceans. Get off my back. And he's going to make a lot of plants off of that. The only downside of Arctic Algae is, of course, there's the opportunity to just kind of get your plants blown up. But I think that very, very quickly Stanley has established that he is public enemy number 1 here. Looks like we rip a mole hole off the top here, since we're the only player at this stage who's making heat production. That's not a terrible flip. In fact, actually, if there's any way to make titanium, we could get into generalist here, making us wish that we had some way to get into some titanium. We're going to do a quick land claim here for this centralized 3 plants, and I think I'm now understanding a little bit more about the value in that land claim. Jacopo knows that there's a couple choke point really good value spots on this map, but if someone puts a city next to it, it can really just kind of ruin that. So, I could certainly see that happening directly to the left there. I still don't think I'm a huge fan of the land claim. We get a Robinson push up here for some titanium, which suggests to me that Robinson was the one who drafted asteroid mining. Otherwise, it's just a very risky opening choice, and that would make sense, which might mean that asteroid mining passed to our friend Charlie here, who's debating what to play, immediately taking back their opening sequence here. They decide to go for it anyway. This is a discounted thanks to Ching Ching, and we're gonna get a whole bunch of heat production to keep this game moving along. It's 4 heat prod, which is a really nice amount of prod to make at the beginning. And energy tapping right off the bat here is going to kill Jacopo, and he is just getting slapped around at the beginning of this game. And he says, I'll happily pay you back the favor and sabotage you. It's more powerful at the beginning of the game than anything else, but this is a hostile start. We're seeing some really, really aggressive plays. I mean, these cards have the most impact, so you play them against the players that you think you're scared of. Looks like we got a research there for the tags. I'm not quite sure what Jacopo is angling that for. I'm trying to remember what's in his hand. I'm not so good at memorizing while I'm running the table talk as well, even though we can kind of see his hand in the side right there. Right on. Looks like we got a quick pass from these other two players here. A little disappointed, I think, by Charlie's open here. Doesn't have quite as much energy structure as we maybe would have hoped in that seat, but we know that an asteroid mining is likely coming on turn 2. I mean, maybe he just threw it away. Maybe he says it's not worth the amount of money. And looks like we have passes generally around the table as everyone goes to collect their resources for the turn. After turn 1, I think that certainly Credit Core is leading here just with these really, really powerful opens. Just some nice stuff going on there. Jacopo with his wilds. I guess actually you can use those for milestones. So maybe he's setting up a snake away of that ecologist milestone, which is gonna completely blow our friend at Robinson out of the water here. Let me do a quick. I'm gonna do a quick pause here because I realized I didn't want to keep calling him Robinson. His name is John. John in seat 3 here is the only player I didn't recognize off the bat here. Let's reverse for a quick moment here. Let me roll that back. Just wanted to make sure to talk about the drafting here. We've got Subterranean, Capital, Birds, and Mangrove. Birds being a lot worse when we see inactive predators in play. Mangrove being a really long-term play. So Subterranean certainly an option here to just get some action in the early part of the game here. Mangrove is good scoring in the long run and triggers our decomposers, which I think is where I'm leaning towards. But Jacopo says I need some action now and leans towards the Subterranean Reservoir instead. I think that's a totally fine choice. It's I like the interaction that Mangrove has with the hand, and you never really know. Probably the oxygen's going to go up, so there's going to be some wasted time there. We see a comet and a giant ice asteroid here. Just some pretty interesting space tags, just coming up with some victory points if you got some cash. And we're seeing more and more that, man, that titanium production really could have done a lot of work. John passed us these and has titanium production, so I do wonder what he took off the top there, what he set himself up for. That $6 microbe guy there. I'm trying to figure out which one that is. My memory of the deck is not clearly as good as Jacopo's. He's not even like looking at the text. We didn't quite see what he grabs there. Looks like he's got a tardigrades option here. Oh no, that's a symbiotic fungus. That's really interesting to me. I think symbiotic fungus is a nice combo with the decomposers, but he instead grabs Deep Well, I think, for playing it right now. Looks like he gets a last pick urbanized area. We see him kind of glance casually over at the table and see, is there really going to be a situation where I'm going to be able to play this urbanized area? The actually kind of interesting thing is that if someone does play the city to the left of his land claim, and he straddles or someone else, or he straddles the city in the middle, he actually could end up using urbanized area to claim that spot, that central spot with the city along the way. So I don't know, maybe he'll take that as well. He certainly has the energy for it. Looks like the microbe was an archaeobacteria for generating some plant production. Again, a nice little combo with decomposers and setting up for that potential ecologist play. I'm surprised about that symbiotic fungus. If I need to go watch and see what Levi says about it, or if you have an opinion about not taking that. But I think that's a nice combo with the established stuff. So, yeah. Looks like Jacopo, I think, kept 2 of those cards. Looks like we're getting a 2. Nope, that looks like a 3 keep from 2 or 3 keep. I can't quite tell from the card. Maybe a 2 keep from Stanley here. Charlie's still debating. John looks like he's ready, and if I can tell the display of those cards, maybe a 3 keep. Is that a 1 keep from Charlie? Might be. Looks like he maybe kept a comet there that we saw earlier in the round. Can't quite see. I have to imagine that Stanley took the Great Ice Asteroid and would keep it because it's just a nice setup with Credit Core there. Charlie's really counting out his cash here to make sure that he can kind of run out all the things he wants to this turn. I think that we are going to see an asteroid mining. I think that's why he's having a hard time with his money here, trying to decide what to do. So we do indeed have a 2 keep here from Stanley. We have an opening archaeobacteria here, which I believe is going to give Jacopo the necessary tag to get the ecologist. Using those wilds during his turn to make that milestone claim. And John just shaking his head there, getting completely blown out of the water at this stage with a absolutely wasted predators and prelude card. I think that basically puts him out of the game at this stage, honestly. I think that there's really no coming back from this for him. And I know that's insane to say in a game that takes several hours to play, but at the level that these guys are playing with, he made quite a gambit. And I think it's really just going to go nowhere. I think he's fully 100% cooked now and probably knows that. You're still going to try your best, but that's a huge bummer here. We get an industrial city here blocking Stanley a little bit, although sadly not being able to take any advantages of the lakes along the way here. Just getting some resources back, and we'll see an industrial microbes to get some production going on as well. Could be that, I guess builder tags don't do a whole lot here. Yeah, this isn't the one that has the awards for most builder tags. So I was going to say that, like, hey, there's certainly an argument to be made for Chengxing likely to support the builder tag award, but looks like, nope, not the case. Was that a quick pass from Charlie? That might have been a round pass. And then we see the hits just keep on coming for Stanley here, who builds and runs a earth catapult, and that kind of tells us, yep, this is what the energy tapping was for all along. Money production here, yeah, he just seems like he is very far ahead in this setup here. Jacopo did manage to get his milestone, which is pretty nice, but his infrastructure is not as powerful, I think, to date. I mean, we know that he's got some mini combos in his hand, and I think that'll work out nicely. So it's not like he's behind, but certainly has been slowed down a bit. All right, we clearly didn't see a pass from Charlie. I must have missed something else, but we see instead a towing a comet to get some plants, some lakes, a little bit of value here, and start making the world a better place. And then meanwhile, over in Robinson Land, John looks like he tapped the industrial and something else in order to get his generalist set up. And I can't see if he has $8 available to him, but he will at the beginning of the next turn when he's first. We see a pass from Stanley here and a pass also from John, who will be able to claim at the beginning of the next turn. A domed crater here is going to take more advantage of those discounts. This is a nice play that's going to allow Charlie to immediately, I think, play a plant afterwards. I'm a little bit surprised to see this doesn't go in the elbow to the left of the red guy there, but looks like he wants to maybe expand out westward and is going to drop a greenery maybe in the top of the crook of those lakes as a second action here and get some dollars. I guess if he's planning on playing another city, he can play it on top of that lake, draw a card, on top of the greenery on top of that lake and draw a card. So maybe he's got longer infrastructure plans than my short-sighted, hey, this seems like a good spot and will irritate another player plan that I that I had suggested a moment ago. Also, realistically, we are all playing against Credit Corps at this point in time. So the players playing a little bit more nicely with each other, acknowledging that they're playing catch up, I think makes a lot of sense. Big cash collection from people. We see that Charlie here as Chengxing has a nice money production. It's actually a pretty good setup here with $10 being produced every turn on top of the, 24 terraforming. So $34 coming in, just leaps and bounds more than really any other player. John kind of second there. If we count the steel is 2 and the titanium is 3, that's 5, 6, 7. So 27 for John. So it's a pretty big gap. Charlie definitely hoping for a long game here with that cash. seeing if he can take advantage of his infrastructure. Strip mine here is pretty fun. I don't think we have the energy to support it, but the other cards here need some energy as well. Actually, really kind of, right? Equatorial, we've got magnetic here. And then I think that's biomass that makes energy. But I'm unsurprised to see a strip mine take here. It might not be a keep if there's no way, but do we still have the giant space mirror in hand if we want to? It's a little late for it. Toll station is going to require a glance around the table, but we see very little for that. Instead of an insects, makes a lot of sense because Jacopo is kind of drafting a lot of green cards, and he counts his hand to see how many green cards exactly there are in there before making that decision. I think we saw a Phobos Space Haven in the back of the hand there. Noctis farming here is going to be a little bit more of a combo with our setup. Breathing filter is obviously just a raw 2 points. It's actually a really nice last pick. So I have to imagine that the other 2 cards were at least okay. Yeah, it does look like we managed to draw into a Phobos Space Haven at some point in this game. Noctis farming, strip mine, yeah. Yeah, I don't know that it makes sense to go for strip mine. I mean, do we have giant space mirror or do we get rid of it? Even if we have giant space mirror, it's very expensive to make all this work. Looks like that was maybe a Noctis City, which isn't quite necessary. But Jacopo likes most of these cards. Looks like he's going to do a 3 keep here. And Jacopo, Noctis City here essentially is just a cheaper city at this stage as long as you have energy production. If you don't have energy production, which most of the players at this table don't have right now, Noctis City might just not be worth it compared to doing a standard project, especially, Stanley, you can just standard project straight out of the hand. Looks like a 2 keep there for Stanley. And it didn't quite catch our other folks, but certainly John is going to kick off by claiming the generalist milestone here. And I think we're going to see the specialist claim by Charlie coming up next. Just like that, all the milestones are gone. Stanley not getting one of the milestones, certainly bringing him back down to earth a little bit in terms of the competition here. And so I think this is a good way. This is a good setup for a game where 3 players are claiming milestones and 1 player has the best cards set up. This actually might lead to a little bit of a closer game than I kind of felt like it might be after the first round. Looks like that was a heat bump. It was kind of a speedy heat bump from Charlie there. I wonder why he's doing a double action rather than a single action. Maybe he just doesn't think it matters, and it's as simple as that. Looks like we got a run of the Earth Catapult here, and saw some cards being passed across the table here. Not quite sure what I missed there. Some card draw here from a Martian survey from John. Draw me some answers, please, some help. And an event that's no longer exciting for our event milestones since all the milestones have been claimed. Looks like we're going to do a little bit more infrastructure building with a mining area here that'll give some immediate paybacks and some more support. So John's definitely hoping for a long game at this stage to mitigate the struggles that he had at the beginning. We're going to see a lunar beam from Charlie here again, just basically building up that various kinds of production along the way, cutting down his money a little bit now that he's already claimed the milestone for it. An arrow breaking here is just dirty, and we see Jacopo make a little impish grin in response. Same kind of feeling that I had, that is a very, very nice setup, nice combo for Credit Corps. If they can get some expensive space events, they're in really great shape. Looks like Jacopo here does just a standard run out, doesn't want to risk losing the opportunity to drop a city there, and does so picking up some plants, which allows him to convert immediately, picking up some money thanks to the lakes that Charlie dropped for the western cut there. We see a Lagrange Observatory here from John. Not often a card that I play early, but if he's got titanium sitting around, doesn't have anything else to do with it, and wants to maybe draw into something that he can play this turn, I think that it's okay. It looks like he's kind of broke though, so personally I would have waited to do it next turn, because if you get a space event that you want to play early on, in the next draft, then it'd be a lot better to use the titanium for that. And you're not scared of a sabotage anymore. It's been played, not that John would be the target anyway. So I don't agree with that Lagrange play, I think. Looks like there's a fair amount of chatter at this table. I see players smiling and laughing. Looks like Charlie passes for the round. We see a convoy from Europa. First of I imagine, many space events coming in. It doesn't get that credit core discount, but it is Earth Catapulted. I call that card Earth Catapult. I call 2 cards Earth Catapult. Is it a space elevator or something like that? The one that you discard resources for and get $7. And we'll drop a convoy next to our city here. It doesn't retroactively give us any money, but if we build north from that city, that gives us something to do. Even more space events coming out here. And I'm going to assume that this is going to come with a handful of plants, which is going to allow for a convert. I assume that this lake will go northward, making just some additional dollars. And we see just rebates and heat coming in from the air-braked asteroid. Lots of little value adding up. And the power of Stanley's setup here is really kind of coming to full fruition. We see a lot of events in play already, so those media archives from Jacopo are definitely going to end up paying out in the long term. I think that's it's functionally like a little bit of a loan, spending that money early, but it'll turn into some cash later. We're already up to 4% here. It looks like we're on round 3. So it looks like heat is going to be our kind of primary limiting factor here. We see one of these plant cards that got passed around the table come into play as well. Moss or something like that, since all of these lakes are down. You can generally count on lakes going down pretty quickly in Preludes, I think. I find it very rare that you don't see a lot of lakes early. But certainly things like Stanley played 2 of them, so you can certainly count on that if you know you're playing those space events along the way. Our players will collect some cash. We see that terraforming is up to 25 and 26 for some players. John still holding the base at 20. And yeah, I'm still really liking Stanley's position. I'm coming around to Charlie's game plan here. I think that going for the specialist worked out really nicely for him, and he's got a fair amount of infrastructure here. Those heat are going to turn into points. He doesn't have a lot of competitors for heat, so it's not like he's going to have a bunch of that. Heat's a lot riskier when we're not on Tharsis. Terraforming Ganymede and Ganymede Colony, just a slap in the face to anybody who's playing Jovians. And looks like we got a quick snap off maybe of protected habitats from Jacopo here, which is gonna be able to, he flips us small animals to the front now that he knows that he can play underneath that predators there. See a lot of Jovians coming out here, but certainly too late for Beam from a Thorium asteroid. And we see Jacopo snap the event out of there, not seeing anything that he really wants to play otherwise, and I think not passing anything too exciting for already being at around 4 here. Stanley says, though, no, I'll stop and think about it. We see a Dust Seals, which is unplayable, and a Building Industries, and that's a quick pickup. It looks like we're only, that's a tech demonstration, so a space event. Certainly can't pass that to Stanley, as we draw a bunch of cards. So I think that's probably a raw hate draft. I think that Jacopo is not in need of more cash. Indeed, he is going to discard that tech demo, which would be too good to the player on his right. Looks like he's only going to keep the protected habitats. Probably lay that out, followed by small animals very quickly. Well, decomposers in the middle as well. Now his ants he's safe from ants and everything like that. So protected habs, not a bad pickup for him at this stage of the game. And, I put this game at plus 50% speed because I like moving through these quickly, but these players are playing this game at a bristling pace. They definitely know exactly what it is that they're doing throughout the system. And, I'm impressed. I got to say that they definitely knew what they're doing. See a Mars U coming down. That's a nice little point converter there that allows you to discard some of your chaff that you've drawn into hand throughout the course of the game. Immediately we'll see a pitch and draw. Can't quite make out what exactly was added, so hopefully something good for our hero here. I think this looks like a space elevator activation. Protected Habs. And looks like we're down to single card. Oh, no. Jacopo says, I might as well play down this Decomposers. I don't need to be cute. I don't really care about. Once the milestones are gone, the like timing stuff tends to not be quite as important. John here says, I'll grab some victory points. And I'm not sure if Ganymede, either of the Ganymedes kind of made it around back to him, knowing that he's got Asteroid Mining Consortium probably in hand that might not be playable. No one played any titanium out. So everyone kind of playing around that structure. And I talked about Charlie maybe having asteroid mining, so I was wrong about that. Didn't fall into that trap. And I wonder if he actually had the big brain moment to say, why would I get asteroid mining as a fourth pick? Or if it just was too expensive and doesn't play into the game plan. It didn't support any of the rest of the stuff that he has. Looks like we're going to get a robot here who's going to duplicate something. He got money income, so he may have been just duplicating his starting card, his company card, for the income. Yeah, that's possible. I think you can do that with Robo Guy. Missed Stanley's play. His turn went by super quick. Subterranean Reservoir here from Jacopo, who's just going to expand outwards, get a couple dollars back, take advantage of the awkward lake structure on Elysium here. I mean awkward because it's like an arm that goes down, which I think is just very, very funny. John took a pretty quick route. Actually, it looks like John took a pass here, maybe. And we get some plant production being dropped out here by Charlie, followed by a great ice asteroid. The big nuke coming in that we know was coming. Might as well do it now while we have all this. That's 4 income and 4 victory points. Pick up some cash from these water flows. We're going to bump up the heat thanks to the 2 temperature bumps as well. Heat prod will go up to 1. And shooting into 30 points terraforming. Basically enough point gap there to cover the milestone deficit that we're feeling right now. So we're essentially at this stage down to card and board presence in terms of points. I mean, obviously there's a lot of time between now and the end of the game, but yeah, big catching up here. And then of course a trigger of the arrow braked, so that'd be the 3rd time that arrow braked triggered, having already paid itself back and double, right? Because it paid basically $9 out of the 10 that were used to acquire it, and 9 heat on top of it. So if we see any more space stuff, just a lot of cool stuff is going to happen here. We're seeing out greenhouses from Jacopo here. I usually wait to play this much later in the game to get maximum value, but he's saying, I'm not sure exactly how many cities are going to get built out this game. I want to continue expanding. I'm going to get this greenery now because that's victory points now, that's money income now, that's money back now. And so rather than, waiting for maybe 1 or 2 more plants later, I'm going to go for the convert now, which I think makes a ton of sense. So I like seeing that. It's making me reevaluate how I play greenhouses, where I just kind of snap it to the back of my hand. So that's a really nice use. Geothermal here coming in for some energy, which suggests that we maybe have some cities coming in from our credit core friend here. And then a very quick small animals coming out, safe from predators that might be roaming, from oxygen deficient predators that might be roaming Mars, traveling as they please. Jacopo there flexing the protected habitats. We see Charlie playing my least favorite card in this game, Search for Life. Never works for me, 100% hit rate for my opponents. And it looks like a flip. We couldn't see under the camera, but we didn't see a fist pump. So I'm going to say that that's a miss. Is that a Terraforming Ganymede I saw there? think so. Looks like Stanley might have kept a Terraforming Ganymede. I wonder if he has other Jovian support. We've seen a lot of Jovians go the wrong way that I think he doesn't have, but could be kind of a speculative keep. You know, it's discounted by 6 thanks to the Credit Core Earth Catapult shenanigans. So I don't think that's necessarily a terrible speculative keep on his part. If he gets 1 or 2 Jovians, it can turn into a lot of points. It's probably not worth it by itself. But really anything I think can go a fairly long way here. Now the production's getting a little bit more complicated. I think the players are going through one by one. I mean, maybe they were doing this one by one before and it was just so quick anyway. But we're being pretty meticulous in terms of what it is that we're getting here and making sure we push things over. The easiest thing to forget, certainly energy being converted to heat at the end of the round, in my opinion. All right, we are headed in round 5 here. We've done a full rotation around the sun. We are back to the starting player. And looks like we're doing a fair amount of terraforming here. I think, heat is going to be our primary limiter, but at least we've got Charlie creating a fair amount of it. I think at least 6 prod on that, maybe even more. And, we know that space events are coming in from probably everyone, but certainly from Stanley, as long as they get picked up. But we're going to draft through a lot of this deck. I wouldn't be surprised to see this is a 7-round game. Could be an 8-round game. I think that advantages primarily Charlie and John. Although I'm curious about Jacopo because he's got a fair amount of cards in hand and doesn't have a lot of money production. Maybe he wants the game to go a little bit longer too. So if multiple people want the game to go longer, we might see it lasting for a while. Looks like we had a Worms pickup there from Jacopo. There's a fair number of microbes that he has in play. I wonder if it's actually a usable card for once. And unfortunately a camera here not keeping up exactly with the immediately throws away that last card. But looks like he's contemplating keeping the 1 Worms we saw. How many microbes has he got? 1, 2... Oh, 3, 4 with the question marks. All right, yeah. Worms is like moss. It's like bushes. That's very funny. Almost never see that card get played. Oh, full 4 keep from Chung Xing over here. Start off with a heat bump to grab the extra heat. The bonus heat structure here. And now we see why Stanley was playing that geothermal. He is dropping the capital. Big discounts in terms of rebates for credit core stuff. And a wonderful spot in play for it. 4 victory point capital right off the bat. Maybe plus another 1 or something like that. That's a monster play. That worked out really, really well for him. Looks like we get an awards claim on something I'm not quite familiar with. Is that the Desert Settler? Yeah, settling below the midway mark, which no one has done yet, really. So looks like he's saying, hey, I'm going to drop some greeneries below this red guy here. Worst case scenario, I'm getting competed by our last place player Robinson here. And we get a Worms drop as well. All right, here's our space event. This is a convoy from Earth convoy that's going to drop probably 4 predators. They say, look, these predators that don't need oxygen to survive, they might not have animals, they don't have any food, but we can ship in more terrible monsters. Just a bunch of Frankensteins being shipped in along with some oceans, handful of cards, a handful of victory points. Yeah, that's a nice ship there. It's a nice boat. Happy to see it. And a good way to use all those titanium. Going all the way back to the Lagrange Observatory thing, by the way, unless he drew into something exciting, which is possible, this is like where, you'd have $9 extra if you'd slow roll the Lagrange Observatory to later in the game. And the infrastructure tends to be sort of exponential, right? We are seeing a push on heat with a nuclear zone here. I assume it's going to be kind of a block and some money back. Yep, that's exactly kind of the position I expected to be in. Although I wouldn't be too upset about it going into the spot on the left there. You get two fewer dollars, but you get a random card from the deck, and usually cards are worth $1 to $3. So I think giving up $2 for that. I mean, we use restricted area, right? $2 for a card draw. So I think it would be perfectly reasonable to have taken that spot on the left there. The downside, though, is pushing the heat. I don't think is very good. I definitely think that Robinson is not in a position to want the game to end as quickly as possible. I'm not a huge fan of this card. Every time I play it, it backfires on me. I think people who are good at this game actually do like it just because it's like seeing cards. But man, I just hate spending $12 looking at a bunch of stuff and never doing anything with it. Could be, though, that Charlie's building a whole science collective so that he can play some really fun stuff. We see from this overhead view, I didn't see many science tags in his hand still, but might as well go fishing and see what we got. That's a no from me, Bob. It's two actions, so we're on to Stanley, who's debating his choices. He's been pretty quick for most of the other rounds, so it's sort of interesting to see him mulling this over. I don't think the game state has changed significantly, although maybe that nuke zone is throwing him a little bit for a loop. Maybe he had a plan where he needed the $4 exactly for what he was doing there. He has a big boat of cards in his hand. We see a couple events. Okay, so we see here a probably more energy production. And having played energy tapping, and we know that the power supply consortium was in the opening draft, you can feel pretty comfortable making energy in this game and not having to fear anything, right? That power supply consortium, look around the table. I don't think anybody can, looks like our friend Charlie here can play it. And here we see the asteroid mining. Oh, I must have miscounted the number of cards. It became a last pick here as asteroid mining comes out really late. And I have to assume that essentially what happened is we got past, like around, Stanley would have known from the opening hand that someone was taking asteroid mining consortium. And so he saved this until now, essentially saying at this stage is okay for it to go. It's a late in the game to play asteroid mining consortium, but he knows he's going to play terraforming Ganymede later in the game. And is okay maybe losing the titanium production. Maybe he's looking around seeing the cash that people have. That's really interesting. Taking asteroid mining into a known asteroid mining consortium. Looks like we have some designed microorganisms here. As Charlie is just full on production at this stage. Lots of money, good amount of plants, good amount of heat, some energy. Just doesn't make the metals, which is very funny for a player who's playing Chengxing, I think. Looks like a pass here from Stanley, pass here from Jacopo. Jacopo, by the way, looks like he dropped a rover construction. Is kind of the most exciting thing that he dropped in recent, as I was talking about Stanley's asteroid mining play. And one more pass, and looks like we are about to end the round pretty much immediately here. Having seen almost all the microbes in Jacopo's hand, I'm just not even sure that there are microbes left in the deck. Like there's tardigrades maybe? All right, evaluating the game state as we're ending the round here. We've got Stanley ahead on the terraforming track by a fair number of points, but every other player is plus 5 points from the milestone. Even if you add plus 5 points from the milestone, they're still behind him. The awards, let's say that Jacopo is correct and is going to be able to get the 5 points for that award, even though actually that's not currently the structure for it. Maybe puts him a little bit ahead. And so then we're looking at points on cards. And we know that John's points on cards are pretty bad, given that he's got the nuke zone there for -2. I think we've got a couple points here for Charlie in the bottom right, but not a ton. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 6, 7. We got a fair number of points for Stanley. And Jacopo here has a couple points as well. And so I think it is quite clear that Stanley remains kind of the lead player at this stage. They're really going to need to see him stumble a little bit in order to kind of not cross the finish line there. He's also sitting on a healthy amount of plants that can be that can be nuked. So it's certainly possible that Demos down or something like that will set him back a little bit. But the game ending faster is probably strictly good for him at this stage. This is looking scary outside. Yeah, I think that at this stage he's just far enough ahead. But the game goes long. We saw that he has a grip of cards in his hand, probably a number of expensive cards, even with his discounts and everything like that. So I don't think the game ending long, going long or short, is necessarily terrible for him. He's kind of actually got all the bases covered. No one here has like a completely explosive, infrastructure of production. Charlie's, I think, is maybe the best. John's is nice and diverse. John's setup is like the starting game. I actually get, now that I'm looking around, I think the person that suffers most from a long game is Yakpo, who wants to play out his hand, but also just doesn't have the same amount of production as other people. He does have 5 plant production, which is like kind of the best production you can have in a longer game. But definitely below in money production by a fair amount from the other players. Stanley and Charlie just making a lot more raw cash every round in this stage. I was too busy rambling about the board state that we totally missed the draft, but that's okay. Life will go on. Jacopo here says, yep, we got it to 6%. We're going to get this puppy to 8%. I think he saw that when he did the greenhouses last turn. And he does a lot of this. I think he did plants and a manual purchase there. Also going into the south here and scoring points for that setup that he structured at the beginning here. We've seen herbivores coming out here. It's going to eat somebody's plant production. Got a thing. I'm pretty sure that Stanley is the right choice here, given that I think he's in the lead. Even though his plant production is not thrilling, it's worse than the other players. But going to 1 plant production is impactful. Going from 2 down to 1. 1 is like, it don't really do a whole lot, but 2, it can accumulate. That's sort of a stupid statement, right? Like having more is good. I guess my point is that like going from 7 to 6 is not as bad as going from 2 to 1. It's a 50% cut in how much he's making. And we'll get some greenery dropped here to take advantage of that herbivores. And then, maybe these predators can eat these herbivores at least. If no one else is going to, I can eat my own pieces. Upgrade a half a victory point per turn instead of a victory point per turn. We'll get a deck look here from Charlie, who quickly tosses it away. Not today, Bob. Oh, did he spend $3 though? I thought he gave it back, and then I saw him spend $3. That was a development center, I think, because I saw an energy on it. I can't quite tell. Can I move? Oh, I can move my. What am I? Why am I leaning when I have the power of moving? Yeah, there we go. I guess we can move here. No, where's better? Here. And we don't see the money going out. I think that's okay. We'll do this. That seems about right. We see the photosynthesis that was unplayed last turn for some energy. And a Cupola City in the last moment. Is this playable? 9%? Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of Domed Crater. That's the 7% or whatever. Last possible moment for Cupola City to be played. Is this going to go in the south? It sure is. 2 points, some money back, and contesting an award. I think that makes a ton of sense. And now we're going to be able to convert greenery in the south as well, putting pressure on that early fund. Akpo makes some animals. Babies making babies. House printing. Just a victory point and a little bit of value with steel here. I think it was functionally free, right? Because we still got steel left over. Do a little development center action. And we could tell that Charlie's almost certainly a Magic player, given that he's tapping these cards. I don't know what it is about Terraforming Mars players insisting that you do, like what Jacopo's doing. He puts his little marker on it. I am in Charlie's camp. I think tapping them is a very clear visual indicator they've been used. I am prone to forgetting to taking off my little cubies at the end of the round. Seems like a giant pain in the butt to me. Kelp farming here. Really, really powerful card. Also is going to put Stanley over the number of required plants in order to convert. So we're going to see a quick convert here. And I wonder if he's going to do the friendly thing and place directly to the left of his city, getting himself some plants and dollars back. Oh, he places in the north. He wants to draw the card. I'm not sure that I agree with this. I mean, drawing a card is great, but I think that putting pressure on the south, it would be a 2-2-2 tie. Unless he really doesn't think that he can compete. I mean, he makes a lot less plants than Jacopo does, but we don't really know what's going to happen over in Robinson World. I think that at this stage we're switching over into end game, but I don't know. Who knows? Speaking of drawing cards, we see a memorial. And here we go. This is what we were saving up all of our science for, playing a mass converter, getting a huge amount of energy, which maybe it will turn into something useful, and discounts on all space cards. Yeah, I hate where I am right now. Maybe we go up here. No, that's horrible. I think we're going to go back to where we were before. Ooh. We see a mind play. That's a pretty late mind play. Kind of feels like a top deck or something. Shuttles here for more discounts on our space events. Which we could only play thanks to the artificial photosynthesis. Oh, and is that a late run of the space elevator? May have been. It's interesting. Maybe he was trying to see if anybody was going to blow up his plants, whether he should use steel or not. Seen an investment loan from Jacopo here. Another card that you often play at the very end, except for he clearly wants to play something right now. It bats the turn for now, but we're going to see something else from him before the end of the round. Robinson doing Robinson things. 2 energy. Up to 2 production. On almost everything except for heat, it looks like. A titanium mine here. There's a lot of late mines coming out. We finally hit generalist. Yeah, turn 6 is not the time to be playing mines generally, so I don't know exactly what the plan is with these guys, or how long they've been in hand, or where they acquired from, but seem not great. Satellites here. 3, 4. Is it 4? I wonder if that's a top deck. That doesn't feel like the kind of card for 4 or maybe even 5 production that you would play at this stage of the game. Turn 6, you're only going to get paid back maybe 2 more times. In fact, I'm not even sure that it's correct to play it now. I kind of wonder if it should just be a card that you discard for $1. Maybe he's thinking that the game will go for 9 rounds, because you're going to get paid turn 6, turn 7, and then the game's probably over, right? Noctis farming here is the reason that we played an investment loan. Gives us some more money back and also some plantoids. Pass from Robinson. Did we already see a dev center? Yeah, we sure did. And it looks like our search for life has not hit. Ugh, now I can't even see this. This is horrible. Where do I go? Up here? Okay, I'm going to hide in the Jacopo corner for now. We'll see how this goes. I'm so hidden now, though. I can't even lean to this side. We'll try this for a minute. All right, looks like we're making our production for the round. We have finished here. Yeah, we are pretty close on lakes with 1 remaining. Oxygen with just 4 remaining, and a fair amount of plant prod out there. That's going to dry up really quickly. So unsurprisingly, heat is kind of our primary vector here. But looks like we have a heat coming in from Robinson and Chengqing, and as soon as the space event is played, Credit Core as well. So functionally 3 heat bumps up at 6. If we see a Demos down, we're at 0. And so then just a couple more clicks. It is plausible that the game finishes this turn. I think quite unlikely. I think that means multiple people have to be kind of pushing for that to be the case, and I think multiple people are not interested in ending the game at this stage. I think that that's essentially a foregone loss for people, but it is plausible for the game to end right now. It's It's also plausible that these heat people specifically don't use their heat, slow roll it, knowing that it's not going to go out, and try to push it to a 9-round game. The heat management at this stage, you kind of really got to suss out whether you want to be a long game player or a short game player. And it depends a lot on the cards in your hand. How much gas you have there, how powerful those cards are. Because everybody's still holding a fair number of cards. We got mining rights, we got viral enhancers a little bit late, but and a commercial district there. Commercial district looks like it would be worth 2 points if we dropped it in the south below that lake right there. Jacopo doing the up on the knees in the seat for maximum table visibility. And we get a pass. Stanley looking really casual there with a lean back, feeling pretty comfortable in his position here, I think. It's kind of the opposite, actually. I feel like at this stage, a lot of people who are winning the game are looking really nervous. So maybe he's been in this position a couple times before. He has been at final tables before. He ends up going with a commercial district rather than the viral enhancers. There's just not enough viruses to play out of hand, I think, at this stage. Jacopo has dropped a lot of his animals and microbe creating guys already. We didn't even see what that next pick was, but certainly it was some cards, and certainly he picked one very quickly. Given that Stanley picked really quickly too, it suggests to me that maybe the cards were, well, there's either an obvious pick or a handful of chaff in there, I think, is likely the case. Too many cards, in the drafting format at the end here just turn into not really useful essentially at this stage. Although, we see a mull over these last couple cards here. We're gonna look at our 2, which we won't see, and to 1. Is that a 3-card keep? Looks like it might have been a 3-card keep for Jacopo. We're on turn 7. Is that right? 7. So we're leading with Robinson up top. We can move in a little bit, I guess. Who cares about those green cards that have been played already? I guess we could care about their tags. All right. I think we're almost certainly going to round 8. Let me look at the video time. Yeah, we're almost certainly going to round 8 just based on video time alone. We are 90 minutes into a 2-hour game. Of course, this video itself is not 90 minutes yet. We're at an hour because we're playing at a faster pace. And we'll start off with some mineral deposits for some steel, which will immediately convert into an underground city. Where does an underground city go? I mean, in the south certainly makes sense. I could see next to the greenery in the south there. We agree. Could also go next to the greenery in the north, because there's 2 greenery you could do kind of in the northwest up there. I think that would be an entirely reasonable choice, but competing for this award here makes a lot of sense as well. Should actually be considering the other awards at this point in time. Like, I think Stanley probably wants to put Benefactor into play. There it looks like Steel and Energy is worth stuff at the end, so I could see that being Charlie choice thanks to the mass converter. Celebrity with the 20s, that's another Stanley option there. Looks like Charlie here will do the nice thing, giving Credit Corps a point, moving south to get the best value possible. 100% sure I agree with that. I think at this stage it is really important to wow, okay, we said it, and that's exactly what Stanley was thinking. We are running low on time. But rather than going for Benefactor, he does put Celebrity in play, knowing that he basically has that locked up just from the cards that have been played already. But he also looks around and says, look, there's only so many lakes in play. I have 5 adjacent to lakes, which is just more than anybody else. 6 adjacent to lakes. No one else can take it, so I don't need to mess with Benefactor. So that's 10 points in awards here. And I think that probably is like the door shut on the game at this point in time. I think that I brought it up, but clearly I needed to accelerate that conversation to the top of my mind, and maybe Charlie was supposed to fund the energy and steel award for 14 on his turn. I wonder if that's the case. Some peroxide power for Jacopo. Mining rights continue expanding in the south here. So looks like Jacopo might not even get the award that he set up for, but we will find out. And was that $3 for a card? Is that an IO Mining Industries? It's a very, very expensive card that I don't think we're going to see played out here. Maybe no one kept the Asteroid Mining Consortium. Callisto. Wow, so that Terraforming Ganymede's definitely going to pay off. Because that'll be at least 3 Jovian tags. Yeah, I mean, I am struggling to see how this game is not just in the pocket for Stanley. Jacopo does have good board presence, lots of greenery out there. You know, he's really taking advantage of the cards that he did have. And those decomposers certainly paying off. But yeah, I think Stanley is just a mile ahead at this stage. Looks like we got a pass out of Robinson. Nope, psych. Let's eat some bears first, or so eat some deer first. See a medical lab, a virus, indentured workers. At this stage, you know, getting the points for that. A media group, which Charlie has a good cards in hand, but they're for the wrong stage of the game. I see an imported nitrogen over in Stanley's hand there. Indentured workers. Yeah, well, he says I'm happy to take the $11, now 11, thanks to the media group for a negative point, but I didn't see. We'll have to see what he ends up playing, because the other stuff didn't seem thrilling enough to me to make it worth it. Stanley taking a really quick turn, probably just running a space elevator that I missed. Looks like we got an insects coming out here for a huge amount of plant production for Jacopo, which is pretty much his way to win the game here. Protected Valley here, going to get some land next to the land next to the lakes. That's going to be a 3rd lake property. Putting a 4th lake property. Putting a little bit of pressure here. He could go in the southern spot for some extra dollars and give Jacopo a point, which I think is what he was actually just saying there. But Charlie doesn't go for it. It doesn't give him the point. It's sort of interesting, actually, given that he made that choice earlier. You know, you got $2 extra for playing next to the lake in the south for Stanley. So I think that there's a little bit of a mental inconsistency with the structuring of what $2 and a point looks like for other players, unless he's scared that Jacopo is leading. But I think that can't be correct looking at this board state. MedLab here going to give a huge amount of money income. Psych, we're not playing that. I need to put more building tags in play. Boop. Bushes here just to get back on the plant game. Maybe herbivores will eat some of our stuff, but we've got enough other ways to boost this up. It's actually back up to 6 already. That's crazy. I just got everything going on. Now we see the med lab. And a bump of 5 income. Card cycle. Thanks to our university. And let's do a little board rearrange, a card count before passing. Lots of cards in hand though, so. Bump up the heat. I think at this stage it's very, very clear that we're not finishing this turn. I would be pretty surprised for it to go 9 rounds. It's certainly possible, but not likely. I mean, I guess if only one player wants to end it. Miranda's Resort here. How many Earth tags do we have? 4. Oh, I see. Yeah, so we see like a number of synergies here, right? Like a media group, but I think there's a little bit too much of like a forking of what's going on here, and not enough pointing. I mean, it is a point for that, so it's it's not bad, it's just not thrilling. Looks like that was a run for the microbes, which missed, and then we will produce for the turn. So production-wise, we've got, let's see, 30, 55 money coming in for Charlie, plus a steel, a titanium, 4 plants, 9 energy, and 6 heat. Just a huge amount of production. Stanley actually has a lot coming in too. 34, 19, $53, 2 titanium, 5 plants or 6 plants, and 2 heat. Also a really strong production. Jacopo really stinking it up with the production. 28 money, 1 steel, at almost half the cash that these other players are making. However, 9 plants does look good. 1 energy, 2 heat. And then Robinson over here has got $26, also kind of half the cash, but 5 steel production, 4 titanium production, 2 plants, and 1 heat production here. I think I can appreciate that the game needing to go longer in Robinson's place, but I actually think that you're just kind of fully cooked. I wonder that if I would have just used the heat for the extra $1 production, that's probably a bad. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I guess it's just really not good, but I don't know. I think it doesn't really matter. Actually, if I'm in Robinson's shoes, I think I do bump the heat production because I just want this goddamn game to end for me. that's the way I'd be feeling if I was in that spot. Looks like that was maybe a flooding. Some heat prod from the carbonate processing in Stanley's hand. We're no longer getting the over shoulder for Jacopo. We've given up on it. He's using his body to block too much. Zeppelins, maybe? Frankly, I don't really know what anybody's looking for at this point. I mean, I think Demos Down is the most exciting card left in the deck at this stage. We already know that sort of I guess Water from Europa would be very exciting for Stanley. So you need to hate draft that if you're one of the other players. But Convoy's been played. Great Ice Asteroid has been played. Not that it would be good anymore anyway, because all the lakes are out. Actually, I guess there's still a lake, but still. I'm really struggling to think about what other cards people might be looking for. I mean, a virus here just to hit someone for 5 plants doesn't seem so bad. It was maybe a 2 card keep for Jacopo. I think a 0 card keep for Stanley. Maybe a 1 card keep for Charlie, who drops out a viral enhancers here. And I think this is probably just going to generate a handful of plants, which is maybe enough at this stage to be worthwhile in addition to the card cycle. Did you forget a card cycle, or did I just miss it? Because that Space Hotels that I see in hand isn't really going to be doing a lot at this stage. Yep, see ya, Space Hotels. And we'll turn some plants before we get. Interestingly, goes for maximum stuff rather than going in the south. I think he's kind of conceded that he's not going to be able to compete for that award. And so just getting extra rewards back sounds better to him. Green replacement here. Actually, I think Charlie's green replacement closed out the oxygen question. And maybe no one has a Demos, because if they did, I think this would be the time to play it to get that lake as a bonus. Or the person who has it really doesn't want the game to end this turn, which is plausible as well. Commercial district here, scoring its 2 points that we anticipated, and going in the south. That's some kind of city, I think. Open city, maybe? Yeah, it's an open city, I think. Keep on rushing. We are terraforming this desert, boys. Kind of wonder if that one actually was supposed to go in the bottom left corner for the steel back. There's less space around it, but there's enough cities already for John that he doesn't actually need to have locations around his cities, right? Although I guess actually I take it back. This now gives a spot where you can put a greenery right between his 2 cities. That's better than getting a little bit of value from placement bonuses. Do some card draw. And probably some card lookies is my guess. Or pass. I mean, I'm surprised by the number of double. That's a single action there. Yeah. Okay. A late standard project here. Just as a way to do some rebating credit core stuff. Seems okay. Is that an urbanized area getting dropped down? Did I miss when it got dropped down earlier? Oh, it's an immigrant city, not an urbanized area. Oh, okay. Immigration shuttles here, just as a way to convert all these cities into points, because we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe upwards of 3 points. Looks like we had a card lookie from Charlie. I don't know if he actually bought it or not. Cash going in for a manual temp bump. Stanley just wants the game to end. Jacopo says, yep, I'll take it. Happy to take the point for the additional lake. I think Stanley probably wanted that. Sort of tempting him into the option there. I think that's going to put us towards the end of the game here. I think that he got 30, 40, plus probably some cards in hand. So my guess is that he can... Oh, no, it's 4 bumps up. But we're creating a run on the bank. People are freaking out. And so we're no longer gonna wait. I can't quite tell from Stanley's money if he could do it himself if they wanted the game to go on for longer. But at this stage, I think it is a foregone conclusion. And Charlie here's got to decide if he wants to get on the wagon. And he says, I do. I don't want to miss out on turning these heat into points. I think it's not surprising players can try to pass the buck to each other for doing it. Also, Stanley, I guess, is paying 11 per, not 14 per, thanks to the standard project discount. And so we'll get a double bump here, and all of a sudden the game that wasn't clearly going to end moved into the definitely ending category. And it makes sense. I think eight is what you expect. If the games of this have ended in 6 rounds at the final table. So 6, 7, 8 rounds. Rarely see it go 9 and 4 player when players are playing at this caliber. There's just too many points to be grabbed. People don't want it. Stanley must be kind of out of interesting cards to play. Or has exactly the money he needs to play the interesting cards in his hand, because we know that he's got the imported nitrogen, which actually he doesn't have things that really care that much about imported nitrogen. Jacopo would be really excited about that card, but not for him. Looks like Jacopo is playing a... Is that a mangrove? No, that's just a normal greenery. And he must be feeling comfortable in the south with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Versus 1, 2, 3, 4. He must be feeling pretty comfortable in the south to place it there and get a little bit of value. I guess he also is making a ton of plants, so he can just expand in the south at the end of the game because there's that final build that you can do as well. All right. Worst card in the game. Doesn't work for Charlie. Terraforming Ganymede. Put a little salt in the wound. This is, I think, a 5-point play. Because I think there's 3 Jovians in the set there. Plus it's worth 2. So I think that's 5. And it costs, what, $27 or something like that? What are we playing here? Oh, that's a media archives. Let's get our cash back. Maybe 13 coming in, something like that. And then we build the trees on top of that. Cards that we saw from the very beginning opening hand coming to fruition here. Trees is often like this, I find. You hope to be able to play it and get some rounds of production off of it, but usually Heat's the lagging loser here. We see a dream card for the Decomposer strategy here. It's not hunting grounds, whatever. It's an animal card that goes next to granaries, and when you play animals and plants, it gets victory points. But it comes with a victory point itself because it just gives you 2 tags right off the bat. Places north there for a little bit of resources. Also just preventing, I guess, other people from playing cities on that spot. And farming here is just 2 points and some plant production that might be able to get converted by the end of the game. Farming, you almost always know you're just going to play on the last turn, and that's okay because it's worth 2 points. Here's some nitrogen. Pretty much all the rest of the money, although we're going to get a bunch of it rebated, and $3 from the air brake. Being nice and meticulous, making sure that we're taking our heat, even though it doesn't really do too much, and it's enough plants to do another plant thing. Although I wonder if there's going to be extra plants coming in later, because it's got 6 production, but no plants left. So if he doesn't have a way to get 2 more plants, that was really just kind of like a $23 1-point card. I mean, it's better than having nothing to do if he's got nothing else to build, but I guess there's nowhere... I mean, even just playing greenery is a point, which discounts some money. Yeah, we'll have to see if he gets some extra plants. He maybe should have just standard projected rather than playing that card. We'll see. Virus comes out a little bit too late. Really should have been played the previous turn if it's going to get played, so that it could have hit Stanley's plants there before he converted. And very unfortunately, that means that Robinson here is going to get slapped. Looks like they're debating how the structure of the virus attack goes, or deconstructing that is my guess. But it's pretty much academic at this point in time. Probe for a point. Pitch the last card. That looks like a game finish there for Stanley. Even more production here. I think we're just kind of rounding out. Not sure what's being debated, but it looks like all the players are passed here except for Chongqing. And I don't think, for me, I don't think that makes a lot of sense to go through all the scoring things. We could play their audio and run it, but I think it's better for the video if we kind of go a little bit faster. So we'll click through and see you know, they're going to collect their money and stuff like that. We're click through, play some extra greeneries, hooray. Looks like we scored our milestones and maybe some awards as well. Yeah, looks like we're scoring the awards. So 5 points there, 2 points for each of those. That must be for the real estate, I would guess, or the lake estate stuff. Oh, no, that must have been for the 20 cost thing. Then that one was for the desert settler. And then now we're doing greeneries and stuff like that. Greeneries. Then we do our cities. And, you know, after we're removing all these pieces in play, we're seeing that Jacopo actually has caught up. You know, he's kind of overtaken here, and we're down to card points. I'm pretty sure Stanley's got a fair amount more card points, but Jacopo doesn't have bad card points, actually. Looks like he's going through and checking how many that is. And bumping him up to a final score of 70. Pretty paltry score of 47, it looks like, for, oh no, that was like variable. Now we're adding the actual raw points on cards. 54 definitely looks a little bit better. 5, 6, 7, 57. -1 here for Chung Xing, plus a couple points along the way. Looks like maybe we've already even separated. Oh no, we haven't separated the cards. There's one. That's about it. A lot of cards played, but not a lot of them worth points, ending at 60 points here. And finally, we'll count out, you know, these big heavy hitters. We know that lake's actually worth a total of 5 points. It'll only be worth 3 when they count out the cards here, but we're going to see a jump up to 77 points, and Stanley walks away with a pretty definitive victory. 77-70 there is the next closest, and that will close us out. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you for next video.